This isn't just an ordinary story. It's a life lesson, one that might touch you. Watch till the end. Maybe you'll find the answer you're looking for. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more inspiring stories. Let's begin the story. It was a Saturday evening, and the air was cool and gentle after a light afternoon rain. Los Angeles, post-rain, seemed quieter, no longer carrying its usual dry heat, but instead a light breeze, the scent of damp grass, and a hint of earth lingered in the city streets. I picked a small table at a food truck spot near the Arts District, a place that often bustled with young people on weekends. Artists, tech folks, students, all blending into the relaxed, slightly hipster vibe of the city. I ordered a bowl of ramen and a bubble tea from a Korean food truck. Sitting down, I intended to carve out a bit of quiet time for myself, after a long and tiring week at the mid-sized tech company where I work as a project coordinator. It's not soul-crushing, but it's also never felt like I'm truly living. At the next table, two young people chatted animatedly. Both were in hoodies and sneakers, probably around 22 or 23, likely just out of college. One had long hair tied back, the other wore thin-rimmed glasses and had a laptop on his lap, occasionally opening it to look something up. I didn't mean to eavesdrop, but their conversation was casual and open, and words like seed funding, pre-series around, 300% growth after the first quarter, and closed an investor from San Jose naturally slipped into my ears. Then they mentioned numbers, hundreds of thousands of dollars. I froze for a moment. Not because of the money, but because of how they spoke about it, calm, confident, as if it was simply expected. I instinctively glanced back at myself, 30 years old, working in an office for nearly 8 years, with a modest amount of savings, just enough to pay off student loans, rent a small apartment in Koreatown, and occasionally buy a new gadget as a treat. No big investments, no startup, no bold side projects. Just a steady work routine and a level of satisfaction just high enough to keep complaints at bay. But tonight, sitting under the lights of the food trucks, surrounded by laughter and people dreaming big, I felt out of place. A quiet question echoed in my mind. Where am I going? Am I on the right path? If I keep going like this, what will my life look like in 5 years? I looked down and took a sip of the ramen. The broth was rich and spicy, but it didn't wash away the bitter taste in my throat. A creeping envy settled in, slowly becoming a weight on my chest. Not envy for their money, but for their clarity, their direction, their sense of purpose. And me. What was I running toward? I thought back to the dreams I had after graduating, to be a game designer or at least a creative director in the entertainment industry. But then reality came crashing in, bills, debt, job rejections, and I started to step back a little, then a little more, until I realized I was living a stable life completely detached from my earliest dreams. I looked around, the passing people, twinkling lights, the sound of electronic music coming from somewhere in the distance. Everyone seemed to be going somewhere, laughing, dating, dreaming. And here I was, sitting in the middle of a beautiful night, feeling adrift. Suddenly, one of the two young men turned and smiled at me. "Do you eat here often? This place is really good." I smiled back. "Yeah, the ramen here's pretty solid. Are you guys working on a startup?" They nodded, eyes bright. "We're building a platform to connect freelance designers with small companies. Just raised a small seed round, thinking of expanding into Texas." I nodded, wishing them luck. It was a short conversation, but enough to make me realize something. They weren't ahead of me just because they had money. They were ahead because they still had fire, the fire to dream and the courage to chase those dreams. I stayed a little longer, letting the night breeze brush against my jacket. The cool air woke me up. I don't need to be a billionaire, but I do need a reason to wake up in the morning. Maybe it's time to rewrite a few things, not to race, but to stop losing myself. The night in Los Angeles was still alive. I stood up, tossed the food container in the trash, and took a deep breath. Tomorrow is Sunday. I'm going to start rewriting the plan for my life, with more honesty and courage. And maybe a few years from now, I'll be the one sitting at the next table, telling someone my origin story, while they sit quietly, thinking, under the night sky.